Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is now available on the PlayStation 5, and this is a console exclusive, which means if you don't have a PlayStation 5, there's a chance that might not be able to play this game as of right now. After years of heroism and saving the galaxy many times, Ratchet and Clank are about to be celebrated as heroes. However, their ceremony is interrupted by Dr. Nefarious, who comes in possession of the Dimensionator, a device that can essentially open up portals to other dimensions, and you can basically travel through them. However, this Dimensionator causes rifts in the space-time continuum, and suddenly multiple dimensions start to merge within one another, causing absolute chaos across the galaxy. And so Ratchet and Clank have to do what it takes to stop Dr. Nefarious once again from causing even more damage, while also coming into contact with new characters such as Rivet and other Lombax who may be very similar to Ratchet in a lot of ways. This is a game that I was very excited for. I like Ratchet and Clank just fine, but I was very excited for it because being a new console, being next gen, there is a lot of potential for it to be really great and to really use that technology in the best ways possible. At the same time, I also want a good game out of it because a technical display of things is cool, but at the end of the day, I also want to play a narrative that is very compelling. And for a lot of Ratchet and Clank fans, Rift Apart will do just that. If you've never played Ratchet and Clank before, Rift Apart will do that for you. It's a game that acts as a sequel to a lot of games before it, even the 2016 one, which is actually, there's a lot of things in common that carry forward into this one. But at the same time, you don't have to play all of those games to enjoy Rift Apart. All that being said, Rift Apart is one of my favorite PlayStation exclusives of all time now. I love this game. This is a downright blast from start to finish. I had such a great time playing this game, and it's so much fun. It's so funny, and it's also very emotional, which was surprising to me. There's a lot of depth to this story, which I genuinely did not expect, and I think the game is all the better for it. I adored this game. From the visually stunning gameplay from start to finish, the use of different weapons across, the character interactions, the fact that the ray tracing is so good you can see individual hairs on Ratchet and Rivet's body, the scratches on Clank. We have come so far in video game technology that these are things that can actually be seen now. I was absolutely blown away by the details that you see on display. And the game is, like I said, absolutely remarkable in showcasing that. There is some really innovative stuff done with levels. As you know, things are falling apart in terms of dimensions, so there are a lot of different things the game can do, and so there's lots of multi-dimensional puzzles of sorts, and there's also multi-dimensional creatures that are coming in from all corners, and all of this creates chaos that, well, it is chaos, I mean, in terms of the storytelling of the game, but at the same time, it's organized chaos in terms of the gameplay, because never once does the game feel convoluted. Everything feels mapped out in a really great way so that it doesn't make you, if you're a kid, because this game is meant for all ages, but if you're playing this as a kid, it doesn't exactly, make your mind numb. It's like, what is going on over here? It's like, yeah, you know what's going on this side, I know what's going on that side, and that is a testament to the game devs who put in hours and hours and years of effort into making this game as wonderful as it is. I have to talk about these characters though, because Ratchet and Clank are so great. Their camaraderie, their friendship is once again on display here wonderfully. But the real gem of this game, the real heart and soul of it, is Rivet. And she is amazing. This is one of my favorite characters in a recent game now. She is awesome. Every time you got to play Rivet, which is a major chunk of the game, by the way, it is an absolute blast, and I really love what they did with this character. Yes, she has a lot in common with Ratchet for reasons that involve storytelling, which I don't want to go into at this time, but it's really great what they were able to accomplish while also making her her own character. And she's going through an emotional process of her own. Her character is someone who's gone through a lot, and now going through this interdimensional stuff, this multi-dimensional madness. She's having to reconsider a lot of things even more. And so she's having to make unlikely alliances and decisions that don't quite go with her character as has been before. And that is conveyed in the game beautifully. And Jennifer Hale, who voices Rivet, is masterful at the craft. She does a brilliant job with it. But another gem of this game, a character who hasn't been talked about much in the marketing of this game, and I don't know if this is a major spoiler because it's pretty early on, is Kit, who is a lot like Clank, is another robot. And she was great. I really loved what they did with this character too. Another character who is very conflicted because of something that's happened before, and that storyline and eventually how she connects to these other characters is really, really great. It added to some of the best moments of the entire game for me. I love what they were able to do with these supporting characters. And I know it sounds funny talking about Ratchet and Clank and more focusing on the supporting characters, but this is really a showcase for Rivet and Kit. But especially Rivet because her plot point revolves very closely around one of the characters, siding with her at one point. And she's with this character for a major chunk of the game, and so you spend a lot of time with her. The score by Mark Mothersbaugh is also amazing. This is a stunning musical work, and I can't wait to listen to this over and over again. He brings in a lot of that electronic loveliness that he has brought to many of his scores before, and he's so perfectly suited for this. Like, if you've seen anything that he's scored, it just fits the vibes perfectly, and they couldn't have picked a better music composer if they wanted to. But let's talk about that dual sense usage for a minute, because it is remarkable. This really makes use of some really great functions. The adaptive trigger stuff is great. You can feel yourself walking on metal at times. This controller blows my mind. It really, really does. Like, the stuff that it's accomplished with games over the past few months is incredible, but you can actually feel yourself doing that, which is crazy to me. Like, how, like, there's moments, I don't know, it's so crazy that we can now feel these games. There were points of this where you're in a point of the game, you're walking in space and you have to use your magna boots to sort of stick to surfaces so that you don't go and drift into, the void. And you can actually feel yourself sort of walking on metal. How crazy is that? I mean, what an accomplishment that is in terms of gaming. Like, I absolutely adored that. And just even in the other stuff, like when it comes to the shooting text, like the way it makes you feel like you're actually using one of those laser guns at times, is amazing. There is so much to praise about Rift Apart. This is an absolute masterclass of a game. And Insomniac has been doing wonders. I mean, in the last few months, they've done Miles Morales and now this. They're doing a great job. And reportedly, there's no crunch, which is insane because so many times you hear some of the greatest games, there's always some crunch time involved. Even some games that I've adored over the past few years have had some of that. And to have a game like this, where everything during a pandemic did not have any crunch like that, and still they were able to meet the release day, they were still able to do everything that they wanted to do, is amazing to me. Like, that is to be celebrated, and that is quite an accomplishment. I've been thinking if I had any major issues with the game, and frankly I didn't. I would say on the first day when I tried to go to performance ray tracing mode, like, there were points where I thought the 60 FPS wasn't always consistent. Like, it felt a little laggy for a second. I was playing it on fidelity mode. I was playing it with 30 FPS and with all the functions included in it, which was also really fine for me. I had a really great time playing it on that mode because might have to do with the fact that I've played a lot of games in 30 FPS recently. Last of Us 2 was 30 FPS, even though the 60 FPS remaster is amazing. But I was playing this game with fidelity mode and I was having a great time. I'm curious to know if anyone played 60 FPS, what was their experience like? Did they have a great time with it or not? I would say my only issue with it, maybe if it's not even really an issue, it was like a very minor glitch. There's a point in time you have to fly a creature named Trudy as Rivet, and at one point in time you're collecting these stone thingies of sorts. And at one point in time you can use Trudy's breath, her fire breath, to get them. And I was trying that, it wasn't working for a long time, so I kept flying around aimlessly. When I restarted the game, it was like, oh, by the way, you can do this now. And I thought, well, why wasn't that happening earlier? And that was really my only issue with the entire game. Beyond that, Rift Apart was phenomenal, and I cannot recommend it enough. This is a game worthy of the grade that I'm about to give it, and it's one of the few times I think I've given a game this grade. It just really worked for me. I'm gonna give Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart a 10 out of 10. I mean that when I say it, by the way. This is one of the few games I've actually ever given a 10 out of 10. There are not a lot of games that fall under that bracket, which is insane to me. So this is pretty great. Yes, I highly recommend picking it up. Like I said, if you have a PlayStation 5, if you've been lucky enough to get one, definitely play this one. Guys, thank you very much for watching my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. What do you guys think of Rift Apart? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe. And happy gaming!